late till you are late.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, how are you?
Great,
You
thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. You
Good
remember
evening.
me? Yes, you remember me?
All right, we are live now, Ms. Snežana. Oh, over to you. Thank you.
You was
Oh,
my first mentor in Peace and Justice. You remember?
really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
very nice. I'm so
yeah,
happy we meet again.
me too.
Great. Okay, so Maheen, I can start.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you again, Maheen and WomenAscension, for inviting me to participate in this important event and education. And I am feeling so honored to talk in front of all of you today. So welcome again. Before I continue, I would like to ask all of you to mute your microphones. But if you want to post a question or say something, just please do so while I'm talking. If you prefer rather to write down, you have a chat box, so you can write down your comment or your question. Okay, so we can start because we have around 45 minutes. So it's a very hard assignment in front of me to tell you about all these important topics today. But I will give my best to be a good presenter today and at least give you some insights or inputs to help you maybe with your understanding of these topics and to inspire you maybe to search for more, to look for more information and to do your own research on this topic. Okay, so I will mostly speak. I don't have any presentation for today because I wanted to, I wanted to make a kind of connection and to show you that you don't always need to have a presentation while you're speaking. It is good, of course. When you are less experienced, I would suggest you to have some kind of presentation so you can combine your voice and pictures or slides. But also, if you have some experience, if you want to make a kind of a deeper connection with the audience, you can do it by yourself as well. So we have many topics today. So let's say the three main topics. The first one is verbal and nonverbal skills, and how can you actually make a good impression with your verbal and nonverbal skills. Because definitely with what you talk and the way you talk, you make a kind of influence to your audience or to the person that you are talking to. Another topic is email communication and professional communication, which is written. I will also tell you a few things about that. And the third one is strategic networking and actually how can you make good connections with people that are important to you. So I hope this short webinar will help you to improve your professional skills and to position yourself better in a huge employment market, let's say like this. So when I was preparing for this session, I was actually thinking about how to be short, but to be of use for you. So I will do my best to give you short insights, inputs that will motivate you to ask yourself questions, to think about you, and maybe to know yourself better. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to say to you is that great speakers are not born. They are most definitely trained. So sometimes it looks to us that somebody speaks so well and has so good presentation skills that maybe you ask yourself, maybe this person is born with this, but it's not like that. So these are skills that can be trained, and it is actually very, very good, and it gives us hope. So I have some material here, so I will just take a look. I don't want to forget something which is very important. So I would like to tell you for the beginning one sentence which comes from the University of Barcelona. And David Bueno said once, so despite the relatively high genetic heritability shown in most brain processes associated with learning, educational practices are a key contributor to student development, allowing genetically based skills to be enhanced or alternatively diminished. What this actually means. So, of course, there are some personal characteristics and loads of brain processes that we are born with, but without practice and, let's say, exposing ourselves to practicing the skills, there is no development. So only practicing and trying and exposing ourselves can contribute to our development, and then it can be a good match with what we actually brings with our birth. Okay, so we are all born with the ability to learn and develop the art of public, let's say, speaking and presentation skills. So we all have that potential. What is important here is that it is up to us. Are we going to work on this potential or not? So there are some things that can help us actually to work on them and to become more and more successful in presentation, public speaking, etc. So I will start with 3 things, which maybe you will remember. So the first one is respect. So that means that you have to respect the skill of public speaking and presentation. What does it mean? So sometimes we underestimate this skill, and we take less time for preparation. We don't get prepared. Sometimes we go and give our speech, but we didn't have enough time for preparation, for some research, for exploring the topic, but that's very important. So respect what you are doing, respect the skill that you want to develop, and give your time to preparation. So you have to read a bit about the topic, you have to maybe look for some researches, you have maybe to consult some friends or associates or experts on the topics. But please, I also want to tell you that you have to be aware that sometimes people go to another side and they think that they cannot give presentation if they're not 100% prepared. But you know, the truth is that you can never be 100% prepared, but you can do the best you can. I mean, you can try, you can prepare, you go there with the goodwill, with some knowledge, and you practice. So respect was the first one. Then another one is the attitude. When I say the attitude, definitely I would like you to have a kind of positive approach towards presentation and public speaking. It doesn't mean that you have to be positive always, but when I say a positive attitude, it means that you have a positive attitude towards practicing. So the more you practice, the successful you become. Sometimes when you see a person who has very good presentation skills, you have to know that what is inside actually, and what is the core of that presentation skills is a long way of practicing. I had let's say thousands of different presentations, webinars, sessions, training sessions, etc. And now I can say I'm a little bit more relaxed with that, but it is only because I have kilometers of practicing. Even though I always have a small dose of anxiety, nervousness. So even today, I felt like a little, anxious, and I was thinking, how many of you are going to be there? Am I going to tell you important things? Am I going to forget something very important? So it is normal. So no matter how experienced you are, you will always have a smaller or bigger dose of anxiety. It's normal, it's okay. I would say it is good, because it means that it is very important to you, that you give yourself to this, that you are there with your heart. So don't worry too much about your anxiety. My recommendation usually for this topic is to share this with your audience, to share it in a way that you took a lot of time for preparation, that you feel a little bit nervous, but you hope that everything will go right. Once you say it, I can say that the anxiety comes lower. So you can only try this one. So you will tell me, does it work or not? Okay, so I talked about respect. I talked about the attitude towards presentation skills. So the more we practice, the successful we become. And it is really like that. And the third one is coaching. So you will need a help. So it's not only about you, your good preparation and your positive attitude. You also need help and support, sometimes from friends, maybe from your colleagues, from your co-workers. Maybe you want to try before you presentate, or sometimes you maybe need to call or to write to some expert, or the person that you know it is a good presenter. So that person will help you with the content. Maybe you want to make a double check. Did you good address the topic? So is your content valid? Is your content corresponding with what you want to say? Then again, maybe you will need advice about your structure. So did you structure the presentation well? Do you have a kind of introduction? Do you have what you want to say in the middle of your presentation? What is the way of conclusion and stuff like that? And of course, you will maybe need a small piece of advice about your delivery. So maybe you want to ask somebody about the style, about the approach, and those kind of recommendations would be helpful for you if you ask a person who has experience in it. Of course, have in mind that that's only somebody else's experience. So it can help, but doesn't have to make a lot of connections with you. What I want to say with it, I don't want you to be discouraged if someone tells you that there is a lot of anxiety, that you never know what will happen and stuff like that. So listen, absorb, try to make some connections with you and take from that advice what is useful for you. Okay, so I hope you will remember these 3 key points, like, let's say, respect, attitude, and coaching from the person that you believe, that you trust, that they are good in what they do. Okay, now I will get back to verbal and non-verbal presentation. What is also important here, when we are talking about presentation skills, of course, it is verbal communication. So when we say verbal communication, it is the way we speak, the content we deliver, the language we use, terminology, and stuff like that. But also besides that, non-verbal communication is very important. What does it mean? What is non-verbal communication? So you see what am I doing right now? Even though I'm talking, I'm always doing this with my hands. Sometimes I do it maybe more than I want, but then I try to be mindful about myself. So sometimes when I do it a lot, then I take a pen. So this helps me to control my gestures. Also, the way I stand, the way I sit, the way I look at you or somewhere else, those are all signs of my nonverbal communication. So if I'm saying to you that I'm very honored to be here today and to share my knowledge and experience with you, and if I'm talking to you like I'm doing now, it is the one way I can do. But I can also do it like this. I'm very pleased and honored so that I am here today, and I'm very happy that there are loads of you today, and I was looking forward to be here today. So you get it, I see. So what you talk has to be connected with your nonverbal signs. But also there is something that we call, how would I say in English? The tone of the voice. This is kind of paralanguage. Yes, I remembered. Paralanguage. So I can smile and say, I'm very honored to be here today, and I can congratulate to you. So I'm looking at you, I'm making an eye contact, but my tone of voice is saying, I'm not so honest with you. Maybe I would like to say those few good sentences, but if my tone and my nonverbal is not connected with what I'm saying, you will not believe me. Maybe you will switch off your cameras. Maybe you will write down to Mahin, oh my God, this is so boring. I have to go and be somewhere else. And I would understand you, believe me. Okay. Let me see. Okay, there were some messages. No, good. Okay, so when we're talking about communication in a way of presentation, there are also 3 things. So 3 is a magic number today, I see. So the verbal communication, so my content, the language, terminology I use, what else? I will come back to this. Verbal communication, non-verbal. So my posture, my attitude. But please be careful about concluding upon something only by non-verbal signs. So if I stand like this, people say, oh my gosh, she's so close person. But then they say, put your fingers up and then I'm open. But I would not conclude only upon that, you know, because we talked about the verbal and the tone and nonverbal. Okay. We go further. What is also very important, if you have a presentation, a kind of slide presentation, if you have a chart, if you're going to write something, if you have anything which is kind of your additional tool, you have to be sure that it is precise, clear, understandable, and have in mind that your presentation just follows what you speak. So your presentation is not your reminder. So people usually write everything they want to say on their presentation. And it is actually not good because people don't listen anymore. They just pay attention to the slides. They try to read what is written there, but that's not the point. Your presentation should involve the key points. I always suggest pictures, graphs, maybe some table or something that you cannot cover with your wording. Okay? Beside that, you have to think about, I say, logistics or some other maybe technical things that you have to think about when you prepare your presentation. So if you're making a kind of a webinar like WomenAscension did today, so I'm quite sure that they had to think about dozens of things. So about the internet connection, about the local time, about my time here in Serbia, about the number of participants and did they send the links to everyone, about the recordings and stuff like that. So those are things that are very important, and you have to give yourself time before to prepare everything. If you're having presentation in live, in let's say at faculty or at work with the people in one room, so you have to come earlier to check the electricity, to check the monitors or the projector, or, you know, when I was less experienced, I came to my presentation hour or half an hour ago to prepare everything, you know. And then how I become more experienced, I was a little bit like, okay, I know everything. I can come 10 or 15 minutes before, but that was my big mistake because something's happen if I don't come at least half an hour before. For example, I take my laptop with me and I think that I have everything what I need. I have my internet connection, I have my laptop, there is my presentation, and that's it. And then I come and I figure out that I have a Macintosh laptop and they have a Windows equipment, and I don't have adapter to connect my laptop to their equipment. So then usually things get resolved somehow, but you get stressed. And that is why it's very important to think about these things in advance and to come earlier, no matter how experienced you are. So remember about me and my experience with the laptop. Okay, we have questions here. I will take a look. Okay. If we can get more examples for interpersonal skills improvement. Interpersonal skills, it's a huge topic. I should talk about this topic for maybe days, So verbal, non-verbal communication, presentation skills are also interpersonal skills, because you don't have to have presentation in front of 10 or 100 people. But still, if you are talking to your colleague, to your co-worker, to your employer or your professor, you can still use your presentation skills. And those, with these skills, you can influence your interpersonal relationship with this person. So today we are also talking about interpersonal skills. Okay, there are many more, but today we will focus on this. Let's see what is there. What are the best practices for effective virtual communication and collaboration? Okay. Yeah, prepare yourself a glass of water. Always. The best practices for effective virtual communication. I suppose you think on organizing this kind of webinars or meetings or call or stuff like that. I would say it is very engaging. It is harder to get to people, because when I see you, when I talk and when I see your faces, I get a kind of feedback all the time. I can see, is my content coming to you? Do you get it? You know, when I can see your face when you're doing this or the like this, and then I get the feedback, okay, I'm there, I'm here. They're interested, they're motivating. So when you're doing this virtually, like me today, usually it looks like I'm talking to myself. So it's not kind of an ideal situation, but there are loads of virtual communication and cooperation these days. I would say that you have to prepare twice more and maybe even better and more in details than when you are with the person on site. Because you have to engage people in a way, you have to make good questions, you have to ask for feedback. If you are not, if there is no request that everyone should turn their cameras on. It is easier, but if people don't want to do that, and if that's okay, then you have to make a lot of effort to motivate people to be on your webinar, to be careful about your content, to ask good questions, to engage people, and to deal with different situations. So now I have to talk, then I have to be aware of for those ones who turn the camera on. So I like to see you sometimes to see, are there any reactions? And I also have to take care about the chat box, because the questions are coming. What I also have to be aware of is my timing. So even though I like to talk, I'm not here because of me. I'm here because of you. So I have to be aware of the time and to do the best combination of my content, answering to your questions, and making a good conclusion at the end. So let's go to another question. Can you tell me what strategies can be used to adapt communication for different audiences? Well, I would say that you have to do kind of a good research about your audience before you go there, before you make your presentation. So that is one step in your preparation. So getting to know the audience. When I prepare these webinars, I usually ask Mahin, so tell me, who are the participants? How old are they? What they do in their lives? What is the aim of this webinar? What would you like me to deliver? Of course, it is better if your audience is homogeneous group. So If they're all students, okay, then I have an information about your experience. If they are all employed, okay, that's another information for me. So I have to be aware of my target group to get informed about them, and not only upon their occupation, but I also ask Mahin, where are these people from? Where do they live? Then I see the list of the countries where you all come from. So I have to be aware of my examples, of the cultural background, about the terminology, about the social issues, gender issues, and stuff like that. So that's a short question according to the audience. Okay. The next question, what will be the first step from where to start? Yeah, I would say the preparation. So you have to ask yourself, who are you going to present yourself or present your topic to? I covered a little bit of this answer with the previous answer. So you have to prepare the topic very good. Of course, the topics are quite broad. So you can, if you are limited with time, you can, let's say, focus on one part of the topic. Today, I have only 45 minutes and I speak about the communication. So God help me. But what I thought today, that I have to choose upon a few important things that I will tell you about. Of course, there are many, many, many things that we will not cover today. But I was thinking about the content that I'm going to deliver to you. And I'm hoping that this will be useful for you. And that's it for me. Okay, that was my aim of this presentation. So think about your aim, think about your audience, do a small research about your target group or the person that you are talking to. Think about the material, presentation, and of course, all these logistical things that I was talking a few minutes ago. Okay, how can we get confidence? Please share your experience with us. Okay, so I have a question for you. Do you think that I, how would I say this? Am I leaving impression on you that I am a confident speaker? Give me just some sign or just reaction.
Yes.
Or emoji or anything.
Yes, ma'am, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I would say that most of your answers will be yes. But what do you think? How looks like my first presentation or my fifth presentation? What do you think? Was it the same like today? No. Sorry?
Maybe, ma'am, you were so nervous on the first presentation, and now you're just becoming better and
Yes,
better.
there is a huge difference. So the confidence is about practicing and trying over and over again. So, of course, I was sweating and I was mistaking and I forgot half of my content that I wanted to say. And today I will forget something. After I finish this session, I will take a look at my paper and I will say, oh my God, I forgot to tell them this. But I learned not to feel bad about this, because you will always forget something. So I would like you not to be discouraged by the small failures, let's say, or the presentation that you are not so proud. Never mind. The only way to get the confidence is trying over and over again. Okay. So, Mahin, am I going to answer the questions or continue with the content that I prepared? Maybe the questions are more important for the people.
All right, it's
What
your
do you
call.
say?
You're the boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that good presenter listen to the needs of the audience. If it has connection with the topic. So if you are the boss and you are in your presentation, you decide what you will do. Sometimes you will not go with your agenda. Sometimes you make a decision, you will switch. But it has to be a mindful decision that you have to know why did you switch, or why do you leave this material beside, and why do you decide to talk about something else. So I would like to just take a look on the questions, and then I will decide what we will do for the next 10 minutes. Okay. Could you give us some guidance for cross-cultural communication skills? Next time, I think, because it's a huge topic, but I covered a little bit with thinking about preparation about your target group. You have to make a kind of your research to consult other people. So you have to be prepared for different, let's say, cultural backgrounds. How to constructively respond to feedback. Mahin, it's another webinar we have to make about the feedback. I'm very influenced by listeners. How can I fix this problem? Yes, I understand you quite well. And I think it is very important just to take a minute or two for this topic. It is about the confidence. You know, the more confidence you get with time, you will see your audience. You will get the feedback from them, but it will not influence your confidence that much. Of course, it is not pleasant when you see the audience not so engaged. Some of them are maybe looking at their cell phones, or some of them are sleeping, but search for those who are listening. Look for those who are, sitting like this and looking at you and just absorbing everything you say, because you will always have people who are less and more interested in the topic. Okay. Okay, let me see. Explain about the preparation of the presentation and the content. Okay, yes, I will go back to my content, I think. Could you please advise how to deliver a talk when we are unaware of our audience? Where we are unaware of our audience, maybe we can't see them. But if we see them, we should be aware of what's happening here. But if we cannot see them, just you're the boss. You have the show, just do it the best you can, make examples, maybe some exercises, and that will improve engagement. About the nervousness, I talked about it in the beginning. Okay. Learning and trying. How can I identify my own mistakes? That's very good, well said, because we can identify our mistakes just if we try and try again, then reflect what we do, what we did, what do we think it was a mistake. I wouldn't say it was a mistake. Maybe it wasn't the best choice of our wording. Maybe we did not give the best performance. Also have in mind that you are also human beings. So sometimes you didn't sleep well. Sometimes you didn't eat well. Sometimes you had some conflict situation in your family or at work. So you are a human being. You come to presentation with all your emotions and sensations. So my recommendation would be stay mindful with yourself, feel it, and go with it. Okay? So maybe it will not be the best presentation ever, but still, sometimes you have to do it. Okay. So that's about the questions. And now I will just go back to my presentation and look what can I say in few more minutes so that can be helpful for you. So when you are preparing your visual presentation, you should be aware of several things. You have to define the goal of your presentation and always come back to that when you are preparing your presentation. So your visual presentation, the content, it can be informing of your audience. According to your goal, you will adapt the presentation. If only informing is my goal, then I will give you short and brief information about the topic. If my goal is improving awareness, skills development, then I will prepare examples, some exercises. So the information is not enough. If I'm working with you on improving your communication skills, this session is mostly informative. So that's why we don't do exercises, we don't do pair work, but we decided this is better than nothing. Okay, let's go further. How will you deliver the content? Think about that there are various ways, and if you combine them, the presentation will be even better, but don't combine too much. So if your presentation is short, tell the story. If you have more time for the presentation, include telling the story and asking the questions. If you have enough time and your goal is to improve someone's skills, involve exercises, involve pair work. Okay? Next, the structure of your presentation, like in school, and it is always like that. You have to have introduction with maybe one impressive, very important sentence, or with a question, or with kind of a background about yourself or about the topic. Go straight to the point, to the presentation. So that's the main part of your presentation. Give information, ask questions, give answers, or let's say provoke discussion. And at the end, you have to conclude it with a short summary. That's usually the way to conclude your presentation. Okay, now I will just give you a few more topics that are important when you're making presentation, and with this I will finish for today. So when you're making your presentation, think about the form. So the amount of the text, photographies, graphs, animations, the number of slides, it has to be, let's say, in balance. So not too much text, not too much photos. Just keep it simple and short, I would say. Okay, be careful about the colors, the fonts, the backgrounds, the templates. Again, keep it simple and short. We talked about the tone of the voice. Sometimes you can use underline with your tone or with your fingers when you're talking about this, because that is the way that people remember better. Okay. So I will try to summarize a little bit because I just touched a lot of things. I hope I didn't confuse you with so many things, but let me try to summarize. So the first thing is appropriate and detailed preparation. So prepare your topic, prepare your material, do a kind of research about the topic, and do your research about the target group. It will also give you confidence. So without that, you will feel lost. Okay? Another thing I want to say is about a kind of visualization. It helps you being less nervous. So try to visualize yourself by in a way that you imagine yourself going there, you imagine yourself talking, you imagine yourself just answering the questions, and this will help you to prepare better and to make an anxiety lower. Okay, when you finish it, take your time to do a kind of self-evaluation, to give yourself feedback, to ask other people for feedback, do a kind of reflection. Usually, the most important thing is, what will I do differently next time? What can I do differently next time? It's not about where did I make a mistake. I mean, who cares? It's done. It's over. But just put your focus and attention on what can be do differently, better next time. Okay? And at the end, sometimes people improvise. It is not a bad thing, but you can improvise your speech and your presentation just when you prepared yourself very good. When I have good preparation, when I have structure, I can do some improvisation, digression. I can just slightly go to another topic, but if I know where to come back, then I can allow myself this. Okay. So I will stop here. Let me take a look. How improve my eye contact to the audience in a refresher training. I improve my eye contact. Sometimes for people, it is not so pleasant to have eye contact. Of course, it is not pleasant, and I will not recommend to stare to the people. But what is good is just to share your, let's say, just make your postures towards people. Try to look at people. You don't have to talk to one person. But eye contact is important if you want to connect to the audience. Okay. So we are at the very end. Any comments, questions, if somebody wants to speak? Or a short feedback? Yes. Yes, please.
Yes, sorry. Ma'am, it was very good and very productive for us, and we gained new things. Especially the good thing is that you told everyone that in converse, maybe in a when we all want to speak, we have to have an option B. For example, if we miss our computer, and maybe if we have something problem in our computer, or maybe some else things, we have to have an option B. And also, it was very nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sometimes it can happen that you have problems with your computer, then your one-man show, you just stand up and you talk, or you ask for help, or you ask for 10 more minutes so you can find something on the internet. Yeah. Is it possible to vanish our stress or nervousness by more practice? No way to vanish our stress. So it cannot just disappear. So I would say let it be, not let it go. Because it cannot just go like this. There is no magic, stick. So it is normal to have it. I would say become aware of it, accept it, and go with it. And you have to try, of course, this. Does professional speaker get nervous on their presentation? I was nervous, but you didn't see that. So maybe that's kind of a little bit of professionalism. So with time, maybe you just make an impression that you're not nervous, but you have a little bit of anxiety, especially in the beginning. Then it comes like the song. But in the beginning, I would say everyone has a small dose of anxiety. Okay, so Mahin, I would say this will be this for today. I'm happy because I will join you next Wednesday as well. Am I right?
Yes, Snežana, we really need you one more time before your holidays. We are very sorry, we are just like hovering on you. But dear class, Miss Snežana is not just engaged with entrepreneurial mindset, professionalism. She is one of a kind. She hikes, she does yoga, and she is like literally the queen of it. So when I literally go through her profile, her work is like she is such a diversified person, and she's so humble. And the way she writes story, Snežana, I've translated one of your stories. It was shared on the Facebook. It was very deep. So, one thing I've learned from Snežana, I hope with time you all learn too, that do not limit yourself and do not question yourself. And her persona speaks for that. And I'm very honored that she joined WomenAscension with us in the early days. I was very nervous to take this step. She was one of the persons who was literally my backbone of this idea. And she gave me more than 100%. And she visioned it. She saw it already. It's happening. And, she kind of, put me in a place where I had to visualize that this is actually happening. So thank you, Snežana, for such kind support throughout time. And it's really honor for your support always. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mahin. I'm really touched with this. As you say, a good presenter can be emotional and vulnerable. And thank you very much. It is really my honor. When you mentioned yoga, I have my online yoga in 10 minutes.
Okay, we must let you go.
I have a group of beautiful women and I work with them. So yes, thank you again, Mahin, for these lovely words. I'm so touched, and thank you all of you for your questions and your feedback. So I hope to see you next Wednesday. Okay.
Sure.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for taking that time.
Take care. Allah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, dear.
Thank you so much. Thank you.